You are listening to The Culture Studio on BBC Radio Scotland. I am Janice Forsyth. In the first hour of the show, we were very much focusing on film. Let's go back to film, because another new release is a Scottish thriller, which will have its premiere at the Go North Festival in Inverness tonight. It's called TimeLock. See, it already sounds tense, doesn't it? Just that one word, TimeLock. About a botched robbery, a safe that won't open, and lives that have gone off the tracks. Shot in Glasgow and Dumfries. Well, it's a low-budget film, but the people behind it have got big plans for it. Let's hear from the writer and director, David Griffith. Welcome to the programme, David.
Hello, Janice.
Hello.
Glad to be on here.
Oh, delighted to have you. And with you, one of the stars of the film, Alton Milne. Hello there.
Hi, Janice. How you doing?
I'm a wee bit scared of you, having seen the film.
All right.
Yeah, it's the young
was all acting.
It's the young Harvey Keitel, I'm telling you. David, tell us a bit about the genesis of this film. It's a thriller, but it's made on a budget that would be loose change for them Hollywood types. What we're talking about £45,000?
£45,000 was the cash budget, yes. Obviously, we have had some in-kind support as well, but 45 cash is quite a slim budget. But we did a lot with it, and it was about making a film where we could control the scope of what we wanted to do, make something that was really tense, still be commercial, and make something that would punch above its weight, and also to introduce new actors and new people like musicians into the public eye, and hopefully make something that we can build on for the future, because we've got plans to make a further 5 films in the Tartan-Noir kind of genre, so that we can build a kind of little stable of films and hopefully exploit the internet distribution channels that are coming more available, and to make a sort of new type of cultural input to the Scottish film industry that doesn't necessarily depend on theatrical distribution.
That's absolutely key, isn't it? So tell us about who you are and who your people are and where this project has come from, because you've clearly got big plans.
Well, I've been a screenwriter for about 20 years. I've also been a producer. I was a producer with a company called Posh Pictures. I teach screenwriting at Strathclyde University Centre for Lifelong Learning for the Writers' Factory. I also taught on the games programme at Abertay University. And so over the years, I've met loads of students, and lots of people have talked with me over the time about how did you get into the film industry, and naturally one comes back with lots of answers, and one of them, of course, is to make films yourself. And I'm never really keen on telling people to do something that I wouldn't be prepared to do myself. And in a way, I've always wanted to direct, having produced and having written. I've been around films for so long, and then to finally get the opportunity to do that, because I made some money and was able to invest that money from another film into this, it was a great opportunity. And I'd worked with Alton before, making a short film called Head On Backwards a few years before, and he'd also been on one of my screenwriting courses a number of years ago, and is also a writer in his own right. And it was really great so that we could get together and come up, in a sense, with an idea. I first had this idea of this kidnapping that had gone wrong, and 2 men who were confronted not only by each other in the present, but also by their past selves. But Alton crucially came up with the idea of suggesting that perhaps the person used to be a former maths teacher, so the kidnappee is his former maths teacher, the worst person you could possibly hope to meet when you end up in a room for the night. And that was the sort of idea behind it, and so Alton really contributed that also in terms of developing the script. But I'll let Alton have a word about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, Alton, a lot of the time it's a bit of a two-hander, isn't it? Because we've got John C. Gilmore playing Mark Kerr, who is that ex-maths teacher who's now running a hotel, so this all takes place in a hotel, which is always a nice atmospheric place. How would you describe your character, Callum? As I said, I was scared.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's the bad guy. It's as simple as that. But where, in the past, bad guys are always sort of played, twiddling their moustache or stroking a white cat, David's script was as such that, there was reasons why this guy's made some desperate decisions. So I really studied the script. David was very open about, input, which we were saying to the script, which was, it's usually unheard of in sort of movies where an actor can have as much input. And John and I really worked hard and gave suggestions, and we layered up my character to being someone that you could have empathy with, but at the same time, you may disagree with it, but you could see a human side to playing a bad guy. So that was my aim, was to play a bad guy that you could relate to and feel, well, this guy's got reasons for making his choices.
I'd like to play people just a short clip. It's early on. It's early on in the film. So we've got John playing Mark Kerr, and we've got his wife Natalie, played by Natalie Clark. So at this point, she's had her bank card declined when she was shopping. She's confronting him, and of course, he's not going to admit he's given into a gambling addiction. So he blames a clerical error in the finance department of the hotel.
I'll get it sorted tomorrow.
You embarrassed me.
Look, I'll speak to finance tomorrow.
Yeah, you do that. Next time, get them to tell you. You're supposed to be the manager of that hotel.
It's a clerical mistake.
Just don't let it happen again.
Fee, remember what the counsellor said.
Don't. If you're not going to work at this relationship, then neither am I. Do you know I'd be as well being married to a lamppost?
Don't be like that. Fee!
She has stomped off. Natalie Clark and John C. Gilmore's the unhappily married couple there in an early moment from TimeLock before it goes all two guys in a darkened room in a safe that won't budge, but I'm not going to give too much away. Premiering at Go North, the festival, tonight. And David, we heard all about, we had a preview of the Go North Festival, which is a really successful and interesting sort of capsule event, really encouraging people and showing them how the door is open for them in the media. Beyond tonight, what will happen if we sort of pique people's interest about this particular film? Will they be able to watch it elsewhere or online?
Indeed. We're planning to distribute it through Distrify, which is a Glasgow-based company that deals with social media distribution, which is a new form of distribution where effectively you can sell the film from your website, but you can also allow people to resell from their websites, and basically Distrify manage the back office element of it so that the revenue streams come back and so the payments for the downloads come through. So it can really work in a sense like a pyramid selling scheme, but a good pyramid selling scheme as opposed to ripping people off.
The opposite of ripping people off. And Alton,
Indeed.
Alton, what about you in terms of as an actor? What challenges did this throw up? I'm wondering if it helps raise your game, if you've got a very tight shooting schedule, you know that everybody's in it together and there's no messing around.
Absolutely. I mean, David said it was such a tight... I mean, we shot the film in 12 days, but the point was John and I had to rehearse inside and outside the script, so we knew it back to front. And when we came to the actual project, you know, we were doing 10-minute takes, which again is unheard of in films. That, you know, this film sort of broke loads of rules, but you know, we had such a pleasure of doing it that way, and it was very challenging. But we had these takes, and we knew it so well that we could get the scene done pretty quick and on to the next one pretty fast.
Yeah, because it looks quite complicated at times, because there's quite a lot of, not shugly cam, but there's lots of wandering around with the camera and following people from behind and so on. I thought, oh my goodness, I can just imagine people tripping over wires and stuff. That's quite tricky to do if you're up against it time-wise, isn't it?
It was, but I mean, it's like, you know, as they say, if you train hard, you fight easy. So the actual filming technically was easy, so we all worked really hard. I mean, the whole cast and crew trained on it, so there was no problem when we came to, I mean, one or two problems, but when it came to actual filming it, we just sailed through it, and
does that
just came to...
Sorry to interrupt you, Alton, but David, is that true when it comes to you with the preparation, that, you know, storyboarding and so on? Just so people can imagine that obviously they might think, be able to imagine this shots through CCTV, so you've got sort of like 4-part split screen where you can see different aspects of what's going on in the hotel and so on. Had you worked all of that out in advance?
Yes, pretty much everything was worked up in advance. I generally think that when you're writing a script, you should write the screen story in quite a lot of detail before you write any dialogue, because dialogue always ties people down, and it should be the last thing that you write in a way. But particularly when you're making a micro-budget film, you need to really control everything so that you can minimise the costs, and so you can actually pay your cast and crew rather than wasting time on set. And so the aim was to make sure that we properly planned right the way through. So in the beginning, I storyboarded the screen story. Then as I started to workshop and improvise the script with Alton and John, went back and wrote more of the script and developed it further, and also then re-storyboarded to make sure that I knew what every shot was going to look like before we got in there. So there is a film which is effectively the storyboard. It doesn't look great because it's done in kind of storyboard software, but it's a great tool, and you can really, you know, see what it's going to be like. And it's very important as well when you're using contained locations, because you want it to be visually interesting.
Yeah.
And so
Well-
we had to work out a kind of expressionistic camera system that would do that.
Well, absolutely terrific that you're sharing your knowledge with a new generation, and also fulfilling your own ambitions of writing and directing a feature film like this. I wish you the very best of luck with it and the future projects. Thank you both very much for coming on the programme today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Young Harvey Keitel. David Griffith, Alton Milne there. So TimeLock has its premiere tonight at the Inverness Go North Festival. Details, how to book and all the rest of it at the TimeLock Facebook event page, or follow the link to our programme page.